In the heart of World War II, a time of unprecedented scientific discovery and intense secrecy, a rumor began to circulate through the bustling Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. It was a story so bizarre, so outlandish, that it seemed to blur the very line between history and legend. It spoke of a top-secret experiment, an attempt by the U.S. Navy to do the impossible, make an entire warship completely invisible. The ship at the center of this incredible tale was the USS Eldridge, a destroyer escort designed to protect vital convoys crossing the treacherous Atlantic. According to the popular narrative, the Navy was experimenting with powerful magnetic and electromagnetic technologies. The initial goal was practical, to make ships undetectable to enemy radar. But the story that emerged went far beyond simple radar cloaking. Witnesses claimed the ship didn't just vanish from a radar screen, it disappeared from sight entirely. They described a scene of eerie, otherworldly phenomena. Strange, pulsing lights, a thick greenish fog that enveloped the vessel, and a sudden deafening silence that fell over the entire harbor. One moment, the USS Eldridge was there, a solid piece of American steel. The next, it was gone. The tale grew even more fantastical. Moments after its disappearance, the ship supposedly reappeared, hundreds of miles away in Norfolk, Virginia, only to vanish once more and return to its original spot in Philadelphia just minutes later. To anyone who heard it, the story sounded like pure science fiction. Yet, the rumor persisted, whispered among sailors, and passed down through generations, each telling adding another layer to the mystery. Over the decades, the legend of the Philadelphia experiment became richer and more detailed. New theories emerged, attempting to explain what might have happened on that fateful day in 1943. Was it a simple radar invisibility test, exaggerated by misunderstanding and wartime paranoia? Or was it something far more radical, an experiment in bending light, space, and even time itself? One name that often surfaces in discussions about this event is Albert Einstein. His unfinished unified field theory proposed a fascinating idea: that gravity, electromagnetism, and the very fabric of space could be linked by a single set of physical laws. During the desperate race for technological superiority in World War II, the U.S. Navy did explore many unconventional research paths. It is plausible that early experiments with electromagnetic cloaking or degaussing, a real process used to make ships less vulnerable to magnetic mines, could have been misinterpreted by onlookers who didn't grasp the underlying science. But the legend insists that something truly extraordinary occurred. Decades later, the story gained a new, compelling voice. A man named Carl Allen, writing under the pseudonym Carlos Allende, sent a series of letters to an astrophysicist and author named Morris K. Jessup. Allen claimed to have been an eyewitness, watching the USS Eldridge disappear before his very eyes from a nearby merchant ship. His letters were filled with vivid, chilling details. He described a field of energy surrounding the ship, a shimmering distortion that, upon vanishing, left behind only the faint outline of its hull in a blue haze. Intrigued, yet understandably cautious, Jessup began to investigate. He was already exploring advanced technologies and unexplained phenomena in his own work, and Allen's story seemed to connect these abstract ideas to real-world naval research. The mystery deepened when Jessup was contacted by the Office of Naval Research. They had received a copy of his book, but it was filled with strange handwritten annotations. The notes, written in different colored inks and handwriting styles, discussed teleportation, invisibility, and even entities from beyond space. The origin of these bizarre annotations remains a puzzle to this day. Tragically, Morris Jessup's life ended a few years later. Some speculate he had stumbled upon a classified secret so dangerous it cost him his life. Others believe he simply buckled under the immense pressure of his controversial research and the weight of public fascination. Whatever the truth, his involvement gave the Philadelphia experiment a veneer of academic credibility, making it much harder to dismiss as pure fantasy. As the years went by, the myth continued to evolve. Some versions claim the experiment accidentally tore a ripple in spacetime, flinging the ship into another dimension before it snapped back into our own. Others argue the entire story is an elaborate hoax, born from a combination of sailors' tall tales and misunderstandings of legitimate but far less dramatic naval tests. The truth likely lies somewhere in the murky waters between fact and fiction. We know for a fact that advanced electromagnetic and radar research was happening during the war. The U.S. Navy was undeniably trying to make its ships less visible to detection. But the leap from radar invisibility to physical teleportation is a massive one, firmly planting the story in the realm of speculation. Still, what makes this mystery so enduring is the consistency of some witness accounts. Several men who claim to have served on or near the Eldridge recalled unusual experiments involving massive magnetic coils and generators. Yet official records seem to contradict the entire narrative. The Navy states that on the alleged date of the experiment, the USS Eldridge was not in Philadelphia at all, but docked in New York. Of course, for conspiracy theorists, this is just more evidence. Proof that the records were altered to cover up a reality-bending secret. Like all great mysteries, the Philadelphia experiment is a perfect balance of evidence and doubt. What keeps it alive is the cascade of unanswered questions it poses. Could extremely powerful electromagnetic fields actually affect human perception, or even distort space on a localized scale? Could a genuine scientific experiment, misunderstood and poorly communicated, give birth to a myth that spans nearly a century? Or is there something more, something still locked away in classified military archives, too extraordinary for the public to handle? Some believe the Philadelphia experiment was just the beginning, a precursor to an even more mysterious endeavor known as the Montauk Project, which supposedly delved into time travel and psychological warfare. While these claims have never been verified, they thrive in the fertile ground of our collective imagination, weaving together science fiction and speculative history. Ultimately, we are drawn to the unknown, and few mysteries combine science, secrecy, and the supernatural as perfectly as this one. It forces us to ask profound questions. How much of our own history remains classified? What knowledge might governments possess about energy fields and the manipulation of space? And how easily can truth become myth when it's shrouded in secrecy? Interestingly, physicists today are openly exploring some of these same radical concepts. Quantum teleportation, wormholes, and space-time distortion are all legitimate fields of theoretical study. While none of this research has produced a disappearing warship, it reminds us that yesterday's impossibility often becomes tomorrow's experiment. Perhaps that's the true legacy of the Philadelphia experiment. It endures not as a proven event, but as a powerful metaphor for our endless quest for knowledge. It challenges the boundaries we draw between science and mystery, inspiring generations to question, to search, and to imagine what lies beyond the horizon of our understanding. Even if the USS Eldridge never truly vanished into another dimension, the idea that it might have speaks volumes about us. We are creatures who crave discovery, who stare into the fog of the unexplained, hoping to find a pattern that connects the impossible to the real. Maybe that was the real power of this story. It keeps us wondering what else might be possible if we just pushed the limits of science a little further. The Philadelphia experiment remains one of history's most captivating enigmas, a potent cocktail of fear, fascination, and human imagination. Whether it was a misunderstood test, an elaborate hoax, or something far stranger, its legacy drifts through time like a ghost ship on an endless sea. It reminds us that even in our modern age of reason and technology, there are still corners of the world where science and the supernatural meet, and where the impossible refuses to disappear. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next dive into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.